Hello and welcome to another Europa Universalis 5 Dev Diary, the Tinto Talk, the 98th Tinto Talk, in fact. We have it from Pavia, as Johan is over at the Swedish Game Awards. If you've not voted for EU5 in it, then you can through following this link. Obviously, there'll be a link in the description as well to this Tinto Talk, so if that's something you want to do, then you can go do that. St. Dave is currently working on the first DLC, The Fate of the Phoenix, looking forward to that. And now Pavia is going to talk about some various things that have happened and are happening in EU5. If you are interested in following along with news about EU5, then hit the subscribe button. I don't ask for that as often as I should, and I did in the previous video, which led to like 3 times the subs per video than when I don't ask. So I need to get better at asking in a way that sort of fits into the regular rhythm of the video, which I absolutely recognize that this is not happening right now. Whatever. Sub to the channel, please. Anyway, moving on. There are a few things to talk about. Yesterday, 1.1.4 was released into open beta. I played a little bit, but I have not played enough to really get a grasp of the changes yet. Honestly, a lot of what I was doing yesterday was, I mean, if you can hear in the background, there's some vintage story music playing. I've been a little bit obsessed with that game recently. Yeah, 1.1.4 was released yesterday. A new rebalance of free subjects versus serfdom. I think this is a better rebalance than we've had before, so I'm quite happy with that. Some performance improvements, fixes to transport costs, etc., etc. Also, they've had a problem with their changelog app. So there is a bunch of fixes that came in early 1.1 that weren't ported into the changelog. So here they all are. If you look at over on the top right here, this is my scroll bar for this page. There's hundreds. I'm not going to go through and read absolutely every single one. Personally, I find that I value my voice box higher than that. But also, a lot of these things we've been playing with for a while now. But certain ones that when I scanned through, I saw them. They were, oh, nice, that's fixed. I didn't realize that. I will point out a few of those. Firstly, it used to be quite nice that you could start the annexation of a vassal while at war, specifically because, you get a plus 25 opinion boost for being in the same war together. Apparently they've stopped that. I'm not a massively fan of that, but yeah. Can't buy or sell capitals. I didn't even realize that this was a possibility, I'm not going to lie. That seems a little bit silly, for sure. One I am sure not many people are happy about, winter attrition applying for naval units, just leads you to having problems with your naval units. They are more liable to be damaged if you're, for example, playing as a Teutonic Order, as I am in a multiplayer that I play on Sundays. VOD's available on my VOD's channel. It was, in the early game, basically impossible to have any sort of navy because they would just sink. Now that I have barks, it's less of a problem, but still, it's just kind of annoying. This one is supposed to have fixed it. They don't fix it with the early galleys and transports, but it seems to work better with barks, for sure. There is another one in with navies that I remember seeing. This one here, captured levy ships now turn into regular fishing boats rather than turning into cogs or turning into transport ships. This was a really easy way of boosting the size of your navy. No longer will be possible, but I wonder what happens to the pops, because obviously when you capture a fishing ship, it is manned by pops of your enemy's nation. If you then disband these fishing ships, what happens to those pops? Do you get the pops? Does your enemy get the pops back? Because it makes me think that when you capture enemy ships, probably the best thing to do is sink them, unless you're going to annex the place where those boats came from. It's you don't just get rid of your enemy's burger pops, because that's what fishing ships are from, if I recall correctly. If I'm wrong about that, feel free to correct me in the comments. But that's what I felt. Also, provincial capitals no longer changing during war is an absolute godsend. It was incredibly annoying when you siege an enemy's provincial capital and you're thinking, oh, nice, that means all of the province is now going to flip to my control. And instead, the provincial capital changes and you've just wasted a siege, especially if it was on a fort and then switch to a different fort. Super annoying. Super annoying. But there we go. Ship speeds repair depends on the harbor suitability and infrastructure of the port. This is one that I haven't noticed yet, but I thought it should be a thing. I would like to have to bring my ships into a decent port in order to repair them faster. That seemed like a very reasonable, request or reasonable decision, and it wasn't the case. Now it is, and I'm incredibly happy about that one as well. Another fix to the Western Schism. Hopefully that is going to actually result in this working properly, which would be quite nice. Hussite War, some various fixes in there. Obviously, we saw in the, I think it was yesterday's video, a lot of things coming for the Italian wars as well, which is quite nice. Some fixes for the rise of the Turks, some more stuff for the Hussites. This one here, some disasters that have been fixed. Hook and Cod Wars. Basically, the reason that I don't want to play as the Netherlands, or play specifically as Holland, it's become a little bit less painful. Now you only need 10 score instead of 20 to end it. And you can also, update your saves that haven't had that in place yet. It will affect current Holland saves. I don't know if I would call it a premature ending. It's a rebalanced ending, let's say. War of the Roses disaster. Let me know if you've ever had this fire. The requirements for it are just kind of insane to have happen and can basically end immediately if the wrong person dies during the Black Death, which is, quite unfortunate, for sure. I don't agree with reducing war exhaustion penalties here, but I suppose if it's just specifically in the disaster, that's fine. But yeah, there's a few fixes for the English Civil War. Another thing that I've never actually experienced. Yeah, very annoying. Huge one though, especially for multiplayer where this became the meta. Vassalizing the Pope will lead to the tithe being funneled into the Catholic Church's treasury instead of the Pope's pockets. Because if it went into the Pope's pockets, then it went into the overlord's pockets. That is a huge change to stop people from basically vassalizing the Pope, usually as Naples, and then becoming insanely mega wealthy during the schism as they're getting, 30, 40, 50 ducats a month. Based purely on Pope giving them money, which was kind of crazy. So yeah, that's really good that that's fixed. We also have some fixes for the Middle Kingdom. The penalty for their decrees is a stacking modifier instead of hidden variables. Making things visible is usually the best way. Certain things I do like to be obfuscated, but something like this definitely not. So that's cool. Some stuff in the HRE as well. A newly crowned emperor will no longer steal their imperial artifacts back if the owner is not a member of the HRE. So, yep, good that that's fixed. If you vote for somebody who's not in the HRE, you're not going to immediately steal back the stuff from the emperor. So that's good as well. Changing your government will automatically make your ruler and all close relatives join the crown estate. Perfect. Again, more fixes to this crown estate, noble estate issue that a lot of people have been having is definitely very nice indeed. They have rebuffed the military sponsorship now. If you've been watching my Teutonic campaign, you'll be seeing that I've made quite a big use of this. Originally, it was insanely giga-broken. You could ask for money every month. You could get as many military sponsorships as you wanted. There were zero Diplo cost. But then they changed it and it made it a little bit too high Diplo cost, in my opinion. That Diplo cost is now 50% weaker and grants 4 times the gold. So just to put this into a little bit of perspective, in the campaign where I'm playing as the Teutons, I have a player 2 Sicilies, which is giving me about 11 gold a month for roughly 1.5 Diplo capacity. That will now be less than 1 Diplo capacity and about 40 gold a month, which may in fact feel a little bit too OP, but this is a player, you know, campaign. It's a multiplayer campaign, so there is maybe a little bit more money being rolled around other countries than is the norm in single player. So yeah, this I kind of want to run it back and play Teutonic Order again in the next campaign we play, but maybe not. Either way, this is a really big, nice buff for Teutons, for the Livonians. I'm not sure how it works if you play the Knights. I've not played them yet, so if you have, let me know. But yeah, very nice. Imperialism CB only needs you to occupy the enemy's capital instead of every single location. Absolutely huge. This was a real annoyance because when you're doing imperialism in the late game, you're doing it against people who have random single location colonies here, there, and everywhere, and having to siege all of them was a mighty pain in the ass. So huge that has been fixed and changed. Really big fan of that. Some issues with peace deals as well. The AI won't be able to take exclaved land in peace deals anymore. Huge. Will reduce the border gore. They'll only annex countries if their respective capitals are within conquering distance. Conquering distance. My apologies. Good, and they'll always send Annex Revolta Treaty in a revolt war if it's winning. Also massive. You won't be seeing too many, coexisting Bohemia and Bohemian Revolt anymore. So that's really, really nice as well, for sure. But yeah, bunch of fixes, and that's obviously what we want. So, with all of that out of the way, obviously there is probably things that are important in here that I've missed. If there are any important ones, let me know in the comment section below if there is something that I should have, been more aware of. Yeah, I think I went over the most important ones there. Hundreds, maybe close to 1,000, might look painful to check in all the separate threads, but at the end there will be 1 giga changelog when they release the full 1.1 Rossback patch. So, what are they currently working on? In first place, they've been looking at the issues of coalitions not triggering coalition wars, which is strange because I feel like I have had coalition wars fire. I did a multiplayer or not multiplayer, but like a small co-op campaign with a couple of my friends, where I played as Milan, and I went a little bit too expansive, and this was in the Rossback update, and I got murdered by a coalition. They declared a coalition war, so I'm not sure what this situation is here. The AI will again use certain CBs like Coalition CB. Maybe it's a recurring problem where sometimes they will be able to use it and other times they can't. Another issue that was pointed out was HRE laws being impossible to pass, so they've adjusted AI reasons to vote for proposed policies in the HRE. It will no longer give a boost to vote, reduce the reason to keep policies, increase the opinion factor, removed the penalty, etc., etc. And they've also tweaked the tooltip for how an AI will vote for a policy in IO. It'll now consider the second best option for comparison instead of whatever policy was proposed prior. Okay. Speaking of the HRE, the internal strike team are on the works for further improvements and tweaks, specifically on the graphical side, including a redesign of the HRE IO panel. They'll also be fixing and polishing issues on all of the fronts. It's a big task, going to take some weeks to complete and test it properly, so it'll probably be in the 1.2 patch. Perfect. That is very nice. If there are any other issues, then let them know, of course. This is what it will potentially look like. Obviously, not final. Things may, in fact, change, but that is quite nice that we're getting some changes and fixes and stuff. Another issue, rivers. There is plenty of issues with rivers, and when it was first brought up to me, I went and checked, and I didn't see anything wrong, but then it's because I was looking at the wrong locations. Some locations have this issue, some locations don't. Very irritating. So, as many of us know, the 1.0 version of the game, there was not very good map mode for rivers. It was better than no map mode. Their UI team reworked it for the 1.1 update. I will point out as well, they enlisted I don't know if enlisted is the right word. They took inspiration from one of the better mods on the workshop, Better Roads, and I think Rivers is the title as well. Better Roads for E5. And it was, this is what we ended up with, which was much, much better. Their work has been so good, it's now surfaced several issues, not only for the players, but also for the developers, that we were not able to tackle properly before. So, the issue is very complex from the technical standpoint. They have a mix of problems that may come either from the pixel maps they use for rivers and locations, which is a job for content design, or from some of the proximity connections and calculations, which is a job for the programming team. So, a few examples. Here in England, where we have a grand total of 2 rivers, add some more rivers to England. It's crazy how few there are. It's very, very irritating. Anyway, an example of a river that works more or less as expected, but has a few issues here and there. So no connection between Harrow and Kingston. So here and here. No connection there. Or between Windsor and Woking. Yeah, so also none between Cirencester? I've never heard of that one. And Banbury and Oxford. Yeah, these should have connections. Cheltenham, you can understand, is on this river instead, so that's understandable. That's not included, but yeah, more connections definitely needed there. And a river that has major issues, the Po River, should be a connection between Ficarolo and Ferrara, but the river gets oddly interrupted midway. Yeah, so the connection just doesn't reach the coast, which is actually very, very bad. Like, incredibly bad. If the connection doesn't reach down here, you are not getting especially if you are playing, say, Milan, which I do frequently, your capital is probably going to be in Pavia, because you get an event to move it to Pavia. And if you want to get proximity in the Adriatic here, you are kind of screwed, because your connections don't actually reach to the coastline, even though they absolutely should. So this one definitely has major issues. Hopefully they fix that. Again, in Italy here as well, no connection between Treviglio and Lodi. So yeah, another big issue there. And it just prevents you from getting better access up into the mountains, where there is some of that very important iron. So the examples are many and diverse, so we won't waste time with more. The important thing is probably for us and them, talk about how and when they're going to fix them. As we might have noticed, it's a task that will require a lot of time, so I have to manually check all river connections. He wishes he could do it with a script, but it's not possible. Report any tricky cases so the programmers can investigate. Therefore, it takes many man-hours of work. They've decided to do it by chunks. Before I started working and reviewing the European rivers, as they think these are the most critical for the game. I'm sure people will complain about this, but I think this is just objectively true, due to the location density and its intricacy. They think it might be ready for maybe 1.15 or 1.16, depending on when we release the updates. From there, we'll keep working on both ends. Content design work and code work, they'll try to have as much solved for 1.1, but they think a realistic and honest scope is to have all issues solved for the 1.2 update. Lovely stuff. This is the pixel-based rivers map, both the nightmarish and chill work for any content designer in the team. Okay, I imagine I'm going to have my face blown out pink. Yep, there we go. Lovely. But add more rivers to England. Give me more bloody rivers. Bloody. It's funny. There is a river mod. I'm going to look that up, actually. Okay, so this is Sulphur's River Expanded. So it adds more rivers around the place. Look, immediately they show England. And yes, this, the Thames got shortened a bit, but now we have things like the Humber in there. This is such a better situation. Just do this. This is vanilla, and then this is what they had. I mean, sure, obviously this is completely beside the point of, fixing rivers not working properly. But I feel like this should still be done alongside that. This is, look at Norway. Look at this. This is vanilla. And this is so much more realistic. It feels so much better. Rivers in Italy as well. The Po River actually has lots of tributaries. There's more than just the Tiber, right? I don't remember what this one's called. And it's such a better one. Such a better situation. I think this is another mod that the devs should just wholesale, integrate. Japan as well. This is the awful state of Japan for rivers, and now that's so much better, so much nicer. Huge, absolutely huge. And river width matches real life river discharges. Like, come on, what are we doing here, guys? This is another mod that the devs need to jump in and have a look at for sure. Anyway, let's talk on one of the content additions, the disaster turmoil in Brandenburg. They're on. We're on the work to flesh out a bit its panel. Nice sense. Making it more user-friendly. They've also added a few more tweaks, making the cabinet action for robber barons available to run multiple times instead of only one at a time. It'll make it a bit easier to run through the robber baron troubles at the cost of using your cabinet slots. Fair enough. So nice that is being changed and fixed. I've yet to play the new system. I'm planning on waiting until the update is fully out. Rossback is the main branch before I do my my achievement run as Brandenburg. So I'll be streaming that as well. So if you're not following my Twitch, then you should go follow my Twitch. Link in the description, obviously, naturally. But yeah, having this honestly, again, I've not done this yet, so I know very little about how it works. Basically, you need to have this number reach 100, or this number, the neglect, reach minus 100 for it to end. This one will lead you to have a Hohenzollern. This one will lead you to have a Wittelsbach as your dynasty. This could be a better situation if you are interested in personal unions with the likes of like Denmark and Bavaria, whereas this one, if you want the historical route of having the Hohenzollerns in charge. So yes, good that this is going to be fixed and changed. Speaking of Brandenburg, let us know about the feedback and experience playing it in the open beta. Any issues you think is important. Last but not least, they're working towards making the economy at the start a little bit less harsh, since now we think that with the latest few tweaks, it's in a good enough position to address it. Okay, fair. Looking forward to seeing what they change with that. That's all for today. Hope that we've been playing with any of the versions of 1.1 and enjoying it. I personally have been. I've been doing a lot of little mini runs with some of my friends, and I've been enjoying it. I think it is a better situation. I've got 1 or 2, maybe 3 active campaigns where I'm playing as Milan, because Milan's my favorite country. And I've also got one where I'm playing as Castile, and it's a good time. It is a good time. They're going to be reading all the feedback regarding what we think is important, and any pain points that we have. And on a full release of 1.1, they don't have an exact date for it, so we will see when that comes about. But anyway, that is today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys didn't feel like it was a waste of your time, and that you will come back to the channel to read more about all of the things that I have to say about this game that I do, in fact, quite enjoy. Anyway, thanks all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.